Hello everyone. Is my voice audible, guys? Okay, here I have just created one dummy about us. So here I need to add some code in this about and contact. We have here cart profile component. So anybody completed this part, cart part? Add to cart. See here we are successfully able to add the product in the cart. Now even if you go to the product details, it will show that button as a add to cart only. I mean remove cart button it will show. Now if you go back here properly, all the items are added in the cart. If I click on remove, and again if I go back to my product details, now still it is removed from here as well. From here also I can add, it will be visible on the screen. Okay, now what we have to do, this count part. So we should be able to increase this count. Okay, so anybody knows how to do this part, or have you guys done this part? Increasing the count part, or at least have you guys tried it to do this part? Okay, so we have a cart component, right? This is our cart component. Now in this cart component, we have that count. We have that counter where we can increase and decrease the count. And in this cart component, whatever data we are displaying, that data we are fetching from Redux. So in Redux, we have cart data. Cart data. And that cart data we are fetching from Redux and we are showing in the cart component. We are showing in the cart component. Okay, but the problem with this cart data is, in cart data is nothing but basically you are maintaining one array, and in that array you are maintaining objects. Whichever you are adding whichever product you are adding in the cart, that product data you are maintaining in this array. But in this array, we have this many objects. Okay, let's assume that we have 3 products because we have added 3 products in the cart. So every object is going to represent one product. Now the problem in this object is you don't have any property where you can store that count value. Right now here you have this count value, right? If I click on this plus, this count value will increase. So this count value we are not maintaining. We are not maintaining in these objects. Okay, because this object is created by fake store API. So we did not create that object. That's why we don't have the power to add that property in that object so that we can get that property from the API. So if you create your own API, then you can design it the way you want, the way you have a requirement. But here we are using fake store API, so we don't have any way to store number of products in this object. That count value we cannot store. So for this, what we can do, we can write some manual code. What is that manual code? Now here you have add to cart buttons. So in different components, you have add to cart button. Add to cart. Now, whenever you click on this add to cart button, so basically what we are doing, that product we are adding in the cart. So before we add that product in our Redux cart, what we will do, in that particular product data, we will add one count property. So whenever you click on add to cart, first step what we will do means in that object, we will add one new property called count with the value 0. Count with the value 0. So when this product information will store in the cart, whenever this product information will store in the cart, at that time in that object you will have a count value. Whenever it stores in the cart, at that time in that object you will have all the properties whatever we are getting from API, plus you will have count property as well with the value 0. And now whenever we click on this counter, like if I click on plus, this count we will try to add in, we will try to update here. We will try to update here. And this count value, we will try to extract from this redux and we will try to show in our component. Here we will try to show that count value. So right now we have hard coded this 0, but this value should come from that redux only. It should come from redux only. So here, first step, what we have to do is whenever we click on add to cart, so that product count, that product, inside that product, we have to add this count property. This is the first step what we have to do. So right now, if you see, if I just inspect it, go to the console, let me clear all this now. So now here, if you see, let me go to the home, let me refresh. So right now, you won't have any data in the cart. No product added in the cart. Let me go to the home. Let me clear all this. Let me go to the products now. Clear all this. Now here I will click on any particular button, add to cart. The moment I click on add to cart, here my Redux got triggered. And if you see in your products reducer, you have data and cart property. In that cart right now you have array1. Now if I expand that array1, if I expand this array right now in that object, we have category, property, description, ID, image, price, rating, title. Only this many properties are present. So before I add my data in this cart, before I add my data inside this cart, what I want to do is in this object, I want to add one count property with the value 0. So once my data is added in the cart, then I should have that count property here. In this object, I should have a count property with the value 0. But now you have to see, you have to analyze, like basically what you need to take care means you have a add to cart button in products component also and in product details component also. So whether you click on this button, which is in the product details, or whether you click on the add to cart button, which is in the product component. On this, both the click of the button, we are going to add the product in the cart. So we have to make sure that whichever button you click, first in that object count property should be added, then that should be added in the Redux store. Whenever you click on add to cart button in whichever component or from whichever component, first you have to add this property in the object, then that object you have to store in the cart. Now, can you guys tell me which is the best place to write the code to add count property in our object? So we have product here. Here we have button add to cart. So whenever you click on this button add to cart, or if you click on here button add to cart, one function will be called, that is add to cart. In the same way, in product details also you have a button add to cart. Whenever you click on that button, here also we are calling add to cart. So we have two components where we have that button add to cart, add to cart. So our requirement is we need to add count property in the object before we add that particular product in the cart. So can you guys tell me where we are writing the logic to add our product in the cart? Anybody can guess? Where we are writing the logic to add our product in the Redux cart? Just see the flow. Whenever you click on add to cart button, this method will be called, this function will be called. In this function, we are calling add to cart service. So if you go to add to cart service, in add to cart service, we are calling the dispatch. So we know that dispatch will call reducer. So can we go to the reducer? Here we are in the product reducer. In that, this cart condition will match. So this is the place we are adding the cart. This is the place where we are adding the data in the Redux cart. So before we add the data in our Redux cart, here we are adding the data. What we want to do is, in that object, we want to add count property. So can you tell exactly where we can write the logic? Anybody, guys? Can you just think little bit, 5 minutes or 2 minutes, and can you tell me exactly where we can write that logic so that we can add count property in the object? Because we have add to cart in multiple components, right? Can you write that logic here? Because this part is going to execute. This part is going to execute whenever you click on add to cart button from whichever component. From whichever component you will click on add to cart button, this code is going to execute because this is where we are adding the product in the cart. And here you will have the access of the object also, which you want to add in the cart using action.payload. So in this, can we do one thing? Action.payload is a object. In that object, can I add a count property with the value 0? With the value 0. And then this action.payload, you will add in your cart. Now see, I wrote this one line. Now let's check whether that count property is getting added in our Redux cart or not. So let me just go to the console. Now let me clear this right now. Okay, if I just scroll down here, we have add to cart. If I click on this, now see here we got next state. Let's see here in the product reducer, we have a cart. In that cart, we have object. In this object, let's see count value. Yes, this is added 0. In the same way, let me add one more object. This one. Here also we got it. Let's check in the product reducer. We have cart. In that now we have two objects. In both the object, let's see count value is there or not. Here count value we have 0. And in next one, here also we have count value 0. Now we are able to add count property inside our cart objects, inside our cart objects. Because from cart objects only we are displaying the data in our cart component here. Now, whenever I click on this plus, I just need to increase that count value now. I just need to increase that count value. How to increase the count value? On click of this button. So we have to go to our cart component now. Now here we have that plus minus button, right? Before that, here if you see, in this span, we were adding count, right? So this count we have got from this state. Now I'm removing this state. I don't require this state now. So if I'm removing that state, so here also I have to remove that from that span. I have to remove the count. In here, I can get the data from cart product dot count. So this cart product is nothing but we are getting the data from Redux. Now, if you go back here, still you will have that only 0 only. Now, whenever you click on plus, okay, this is the button, right? Minus button. This is your minus button. Then you have span. Then you have plus button here. So whenever we click on this button, we are calling one function, right? Here I will just say increase count. Here I will say increase cart count. I will call one function. Okay. Now I need to define that function here somewhere. So I will define here const increase cart count. Now what we need to do, we have to increase that count property value. Only one property we have to change. So basically what we are going to do means, whenever this function is called, in this function, let's try to access this entire product data. So here let's pass that cart product, entire product data. That current product data we will pass to this function as an argument, and we will access here product. Now in this product, what we need to do, we need to increase the count value. So product dot count equals to current product dot count value plus 1 plus 1. So this is the current product. Current product means, let's assume that this product. Now, whenever I click on this button, first we are getting the information of this entire product in the object form here. From that project, we are accessing count property and we are updating that property value from 0 to plus 1, plus 1. Current count, whatever we have, to that we are adding plus 1. Now, this object we have to give to our reducer. Now, what reducer will do? It will update now, because now our object got updated. Even if you update one property, also your object got updated. Now, this object we have to add inside our cart. We have to add inside our Redux cart again. How to add in the Redux cart again? So basically here I am doing something like this. Okay. You have a Redux. In that, let's assume that you have cart. This is your cart array. In this array, you are maintaining one object. Okay, let's assume that we are maintaining right now only one object, only one product in the cart. Now in this object, you have so many properties. So what we did, while adding this object in this cart, we have added a count property here with the value 0. So inside the Redux, inside our cart, this is our cart and this is our Redux. Inside the cart object, inside the cart array, we have one object. In that right now count value is 0. Now here we have a counter. So whenever you click on this counter, whenever you click on that counter plus button, what we want to do is this count value we want to increase by 1. This count value we want to increase by 1. Now how to increase by 1? So for that what we are doing, whenever we click on this count, we are getting the access of that current object. Nothing but this current object access we are getting. In that object, we are accessing this count property. Right now, count property value is 0. So to that current value, we are adding 1. So count property value will become 1. So from 0, value became 1. It means this object got modified. So object got modified here. Still in Redux, we have count 0 only. So now what we have to do, this modified object we have to replace with this object. So you have to remove this object and then you have to add this object at same place, so that this count value will be updated there. Count value will be updated there. How to do that? So if you want to update any data in Redux, obviously you have to call reducer. Now here we have updated our object. Now this object first we will give to reducer. How to give to reducer? For that we require dispatch. I will use here type value count, and here I will say payload. I will pass this object product object. One minute, guys. Yeah. So I will give to, so let's come back here. Yeah. So I'm calling dispatch. To dispatch, I'm passing one action object. Here I got type count, payload, product, current product, which I have updated. That product I am passing. Now it will come to my reducer. So we have created our reducer inside the pages. Under the products, it will come here. Now I will add here one more condition. Else if action.type, it is equals to count, then what you need to do? What you need to do? First, you need to remove this object. From this cart array, you have to remove this object. You have to remove this object. And in this cart, exactly at same place, that new object which we are passing through action object, that object we have to add here. Nothing but this object we have to add here. We have to add here. This object with the count value we have to add here. Exactly in the same place, because this is array, right? Exactly at same place we want to add this object. This new object we have to replace with the old object. Now tell me, if you have an array, in that array, if you have some elements, and if you want to remove that element, or if you want to replace that element with another element, what we have to do? Okay, let's assume that we have an array. In this, we have some data, okay, like data 1, comma data 2, comma data 3. Now, let's assume that I have a new data. I have here one new data. Now, my requirement is in this array, I want to replace this new data exactly at this position. So this new data should replace data 2 exactly at that position only. I cannot add this new data at last position. If I add at last position, then it will disturb this sequence. Current sequence will get disturbed. So what I want to do is this data exactly I want to replace this data too. So what I need to do for this? First, I need to remove this data too. So the question is how to remove a specific element from the array. How to remove specific element from the array. That is the first thing. After removing specific element from the array, how to add new element at specific position. If I want to perform these two operations on array, then can you tell me how to perform? Remember, I need to remove and add. So which array function or array method we can use here?
Splice.
Nice. We can use splice. This is where splice will come into picture. Okay. So what we can do is here, once our control comes to here, first let's access this Redux data. So how to access Redux data? Redux cart data. For that, we can use state.cart. Now you will get the access of cart array. Okay. So here, this one. If I right click, go to the inspect. If I go to the console, now you got the access to this array. This array. Okay. Now on this, I have to apply splice because I want to remove one object from that. Now, which object you want to remove? Because here you have two objects, object 1, object 2. So let's assume that I want to remove the first object. This first object I want to remove. Now, how you will decide in splice that you want to remove the first object? So before that, tell me what are the arguments splice is going to take. What is the first argument? So the first argument is the index number of an element which you want to remove or from where you want to start removing the elements. So index number of an element from where you want to start removing the elements. Second argument, from that index number, how many elements you want to remove? That count you have to provide. Count you have to provide. How many elements you want to remove from that element? So in our case, we are using splice. So we have to provide the index number of the object which we want to remove and count will be 1. Count will be 1 because we want to remove only that particular object. And third argument will be at that place, which element you want to add, new element. So we have to add here our new object as a third argument. It means now we require the current index number of that particular object in that cart array. So in this cart array, we want whichever object you want to remove, that object index number we require. So here somehow we require index number. Now where we are able to find the information about that cart in the cart component, because here we are iterating, right, using map. So now can you tell me here, can we get the index number of that particular product which we are displaying on the screen? Here we are displaying two products, right? So can we get this product's index number in the cart component? Is it possible to get the index number? because here we are iterating, right? Here we are iterating our array. And based on that, we are displaying here number of products. In our array, if you have 2 elements, 2 products will be displayed. If in your array, if you have 10 elements, 10 elements will be displayed. So here, can we get index number of the cart product? Yes, using second argument here. Now this index number, can I give to that increase cart count function? So here we have that increase cart count function, right? So here, can I give that index number as a second argument? Can I access that index number in this function as a second parameter? And can I pass this index number to this action object as a second or third property? Why? Why I'm storing that index number in the action object? Because action object will be received by reducer. Now here, can I pass that action dot index? From this index number, I want to remove one element and I want to add action dot payload. This object I want to add inside this array. Now your array got modified. Still, it is not modified in Redux. In Reducer, we have modified it. Now we have to add this array inside the Redux. How to add? For that, we can take state. We can assign new object. We can copy all the previous properties of state. In that, we have to update cart property. With what value? With new array. And in that new array, now we can copy all the properties of our state.cart. Because in the state.cart, we have modified our object. Now that object we are copying here in the new array. Save it. Now if I go back here, the requested module, let's see if something is going wrong. Action dot index only, right here what we have written. X. And in here, let's go to products. Add. Okay, let's keep with one product right now. I click on cart. I got here. Now see, 1 we got, 2 we got, 3 we got. In the same way, if I go to product, if I add another product, let's assume that I'm adding this product. It is also added. If I go to cart, see, we did not lose that data. Still, it is 3 only. Here also I'm increasing 6. Now, if I go back to home, again, if I come back to cart, still my data is there, 3 and 6. Now, minus is not working because we did not wrote logic for it. Same logic we have to write, just we have to decrease it by 1. So now, if you go to that minus, here, this is the minus we have here. So here we will call one more function, decrease count, decrease cart count. Here also we will pass same cart product, comma, index number. Now this decrease count I have to define here, same as it is. Almost logic is same. If you want, you can maintain in one function also. But just for your understanding, I am writing 2 functions, decrease count. Here we will receive the product index number. Here we have to just say minus. That's it. Apart from that, everything will be same. So again, dispatch, again count. Just again, we will modify that current Redux store. Now, if I come back here, minus, 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 minus. But here, once I am in the zero, I should not go back. It should not be -1. I want to restrict that part. So what we need to do, this logic we have to execute if product dot count value is greater than 0. I mean, this logic we want to execute only if product dot count is greater than 0. Now, if I refresh, if I just go back here, now see after 0, I will not be able to select it. Here also after 0, it will stop. I'm clicking, but it is not going. Here you can add it. Any number of product you can add. You can go back here. Done. Here also done. Done. So this is cart component. Now here only you can add that total bill component here. Somewhere here you can add it. And based on this price values, you can just calculate total price. And you can have a proceed button. If you click on that proceed button, again navigate to some other component. In that you show all the payment details. You have to show all your order details and payment. Again, from there, you can navigate to the payment page. Right now, we have added the product in the cart. So in cart, if I go here, how did we add design? We made it, right? I will make it 50 and I will not make auto. So it will be exactly here. Okay. For this, can we add shadow? Instead of this, we can add here also. Here will work. Let me add here class name shadow p-5. Here width 50 we can give. From here we can remove. And here mt-5 I can give. From here I can remove. Text to center 2 times. We got like this. Here my-3. Like this. Okay, you can add design however you want. I'm just adding like this. Here you can show some another component where you can show the total bill amount. Based on this, you have total price, you have quantity also. Just you have to multiply this price into quantity and you have to show total price of this product. So for this, what you can do, just go to the internet, search for cart pages, go to the images tab and just get the idea here how you can. I'm just talking about this part. Here, this total bill we can show. Okay, this you can show. Like this, you can create one more component, total bill amount, and then based on your price, you can show it. So your cart component will be ready. Here you can show one part. Now there you have to access the data from cart only. Just you have to access price data, you have to access count value, you have to multiply it. Total price you will get of this product, total price of this product, and then final price. Just you have to add it, final price you have to show. And then you can show one proceed button. If you click on that proceed, just navigate to the payment page. Here profile. Now, whenever user is creating sign up, he will give his details, right? Whenever he click on profile, we have to get that data and we have to design some UI. We have to display his details here. So you will have product where you have filtering. Right now, just based on only one, we are doing the filtering that is based on brand name. You can add here multiple filterings. Like in Amazon, you can do filtering based on price. You can do based on brand, like that. So if you know how to do filtering on one parameter, you can implement filtering on multiple parameters then. This design part you will change. Apart from that, nothing. Okay, you have to just design one about us page. Here you have to just provide the information about your company. Again, if you don't get idea how to design about us, same thing, go to the browser, search for about us page. Go to this template. And just you have to find here see, you will find lot of templates. Whichever template you like, just get that template and design accordingly. You can get this template, you can design something like this. Profile, three components you have to design: about, contact, profile. Okay, can you do up to here? And just design this also, your total price component as well. So on Friday, I will check your outputs, guys. Okay, on Friday, I won't take any session. First, I will check your outputs, how much you have done. So tomorrow we don't have session. Okay, tomorrow we don't have session. Next session I will take on Friday and Saturday also. Okay, Saturday also we will have a session. So tomorrow I'm not taking the session. That session I will shift on Saturday. So on Friday, you have to show how much you have done. How much you have done. Okay, remember here we are implementing front-end project. We are not implementing back-end project. You guys don't know about back-end. So we are not focusing on back-end part. We are just focusing on front-end part. As a front-end developer, what we are going to do. So here, whatever calculations we have done, right? Whatever calculations we have done, actually all this will be done by back-end people. So as a front-end developer, you will not do much calculations. So whenever you click on this button, you will just send a request to a server. And you know how to send a request to servers. I have explained you using JSON server also, and I have explained you using taking third-party fake APIs also. So how we are having URLs in the same way, backend people will give you some URLs and they will tell if you request to this URL, you will get this kind of data. In this format, you will get the data. Whenever you send a request to that API, they will send some data to you. Now you have to decide what user interface you want to create and how you want to bind that data to that user interface. Here we are sending a request, right? The moment this page loads, one request goes to fake store API, it sends us some data. Then what we are doing using React, we are creating this UI, we are creating this card kind of format, and in that we are binding this data. Now this data is coming from server. Same thing in real time happens. Your backend people will give you APIs, and based on your requirement, you will send a request to that API. That API will send the data to you. You will create some user interface based on the requirement, and in that user interface, you will bind the data. You will bind the data. Now see, our product is very fast because here we are fetching the data from the Redux only. That is the reason it is very fast. But in real time, what you will do whenever you click on this button, add to cart, first, you will send these details to your server backend. Now, to send these details to server, your backend developer will give you an API. So you will do post request. With the post request, you will send this particular product data to backend. That is your work. Your work is done there. Then backend people will receive that data. They will add that data in their database, and they will send a response that successfully data is added in the cart. Now, once you receive that data successfully, data added in the cart, you will send one more request to backend to get the latest data of the cart. The way we have done with the JSON server. Once we add new user, you will send one more request to get the latest data of all the users. So in the same way, once the data is added in your database, once any data is added in the cart, then you will send one more request to get the latest data of the cart. Once you got that data, you will update that data in the Redux, and from Redux, you will display in your component. You will display in the component. Next time, whenever user comes to that cart component, you will show the data from Redux only in that particular session. Suppose he log outs, the data of your Redux will be deleted. Whenever he logins, first time, whenever he visit cart page, we will send a request to a server. We will get all the cart information. We will add in the Redux. From Redux, we will show in the component. Now in that session, he visits some other links. Again, he will come back to cart. So whenever he comes back to the cart second time, we will not send a request to a server. From Redux only, we will show that data in our component. So now unnecessarily, you are not sending so many requests to a server. So it will improve the performance of your application because you are fetching the data from Redux. It will be very, very fast. And plus your server will not have burden of getting a lot of requests. So this is the reason if you go for any React interviews, 100% they will ask, do you know Redux or not? If not Redux, any other package very similar to Redux which manages state for your application. So 90% people will use Redux with React applications. Okay. So just work on this. If possible, create that total amount, like total price component, show the total price of all the products that are added in the cart. Design your about component contact. In contact page, just design one simple form where people can enter their name, their phone number, and some queries, and then they can submit it. Click on submit. That data should go to the server. Yeah, that's all, guys. So let's meet on Friday and let's continue remaining things.